Good afternoon, everyone. Today's class, we are going to discuss about the apartheid system and how the native South Africans, so they were struggle against apartheid. See, in the yesterday's class only, I explained about how the great personality of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, he was opposed the apartheid regime in his country and even the result also. Actually, he spent the next 28 years in South Africa's most dreaded prison in Robben Island. Apartheid, what is the meaning of apartheid? So I told that. So it was the name of a system of racial discrimination. Racial racial discrimination. That means discrimination based on skin color. ಅಥವಾ ಇದನ್ನ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಣ ಭೇದ ನೀತಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. See, the white Europeans imposed this system on South Africa during the 17th and 18th centuries. The trading companies from Europe occupied it with arms and force in the way they occupied India. So we knows that how India that goes under the control of Europeans. The same way they were occupied South Africa also. But unlike India, a large number of whites had settled in South Africa and became the local rulers. The large number of white peoples, white people, so they were settled in South Africa and they were became the local rulers. See, the system of apartheid divided the people and labeled them on the basis of their skin color. So usually we know that the South African color that is black and the Europeans color white. So here the native people of South Africa they are black in color. They made up about three-fourths of the population were called blacks. They used to call as a blacks. The three-fourths of the population, the maximum of the population in South Africa actually the black people. See, beside these two groups, whites and blacks, so there were people of mixed races also who were called colored. So there we can see the three types of one blacks, whites, and colored. So blacks actually refers the South African native and the whites they were Europeans, those who are settled permanently in South Africa and colored. So those people actually, those who are people of mixed races who were called colored. And people who migrated from India, those who are migrated from India, the white rulers treated all. So here colored people means actually we Indians. We are not black also and then we are not belongs to whites also. So we used to, we people used to call as, ourselves the colored people. So here the white rulers treated all non-whites whether you are black, whether you are colored, so everyone except the white rulers or the white people. So they were treated all non-whites as inferiors. The non-whites did not have voting rights. So this is another one. So the non-white people in South Africa, they do not have a right to vote. See, the apartheid system was particularly oppressive for the blacks, particularly oppressive for the black people. So they were forbidden from living in white areas. They were not at all allowed. And even they could work in white areas only if they had a permit. If there was no permit, the black people, so they were not allowed, even they were not allowed to work in white people areas. Even not only their houses or the areas. So it was including the different public places, even the including train, bus, taxi, hotels, hospitals, schools, colleges, libraries, cinema halls, even the theaters also, beaches also, swimming pool also. So everywhere, even including public toilets also. So all these were all separate for the whites and blacks. There was separate all these things, all these public places, such as the trains, buses and taxis, and even the hotels also, hospitals also, schools and college, libraries, cinema hall, theaters, beach, and also dear students, the swimming pool also, and even the public toilets were all separate for the whites and black people. They could not even visit the churches where the white people so worship it. Even the church also are getting now. See, this was actually used to called as a segregation. This was called segregation. They were not allowed even the in church also where the whites they were gathered to worship. Blacks could not form associations or protest against the terrible treatment by the white government. So they were not allowed to form any kind of organizations or associations, and even so protest against the terrible treatment by the white government. Since 1950, the blacks, colored and Indians they were fought against the apartheid system. All they were all the non-whites people. So since 1950, they were struggle against the apartheid system, which was actually followed by the white government. They launched protest marches and strikes. The African National Congress was called as the ANC, means African National Congress. See, this is actually how in our India the Indian National Congress fought against the colonial administration. The same way, the African National Congress it was actually struggle against the policies of segregation. All the South African leaders, so under the leadership of African National Congress, so they were struggle against the policies of segregation. See, this included many workers. So this African National Congress, so it was included so many workers, unions, and the Communist Party also. So many sensitive whites also even they were joined the ANC to oppose the apartheid system. So even some of the sensitive white people, those who are having some sympathy or something feelings towards the black people on the base of the humanity background. So here, so those the sensitive whites also joined the African National Congress to oppose apartheid system, and they were also played a leading role in this struggle. They were also played a vital role in this struggle. See, several countries denounced apartheid as unjust and racist. Even though many countries denounced apartheid, a practice of apartheid, as unjust and racist. But the white racist government continued to rule by detaining, torturing, and killing thousands of black and colored people. They were very oppressive, dear students. The white racist government continued to rule by detaining, torturing, and killing thousands and thousands of black and colored people in South Africa. Then, afterwards, what happened, dear students? Now, let us discuss about towards a new constitution. Towards a new constitution. Towards a new constitution. See, as protests and struggle against apartheid had increased day by day, the protests and struggles against apartheid had increased. The government realized that the white government, the British government, so realized that especially the maximum, the Europeans, the whites, what they were realized that they could no longer keep the blacks under their rule through repression. They were understood later. They came to know that the reality, the situation, that they could no longer keep the blacks under their rule through repression. So the white regime changed its policies. The white regime changed its policies. Discriminatory laws were repealed. Discriminatory laws, whatever introduced by the white government, so that were repealed. Ban on political parties and restrictions on the media were lifted. So even they were banned everything, all other political parties and even the medias also. So they were lifted. After 28 years of imprisonment, Nelson Mandela walked out of the jail as a free man. See, dear students, living in a 28 years continuously in a jail is not an ordinary task. So after 20 years of imprisonment, Nelson Mandela walked out of, from the jail as a free man. So finally, dear students, at the midnight of 26th April 1994, midnight of 26th January, sorry, 26th April 1994, 1994, the new national flag of the Republic of South Africa was unfurled, making the newly born democracy in the world. So what happened? It is a really one of the remarkable day in the world history and as well as in South African history. So when the the white people, the government understood that they could no longer keep the blacks under their rule through repressions, the white regime it was changed its policies. Even the discriminatory laws were repealed and restrictions on the media and the political parties were lifted, and even the Nelson Mandela who was spent 28 years in jail, he was actually released as a free man. And finally, at the midnight of 26th April 1994, the new national flag of the Republic of South Africa was unfurled, marking the newly born democracy in the world. See, the apartheid government came to an end. What happened? So, the apartheid government, the racist government, the whites government domination came to an end, paving a way for the formation of a multiracial government. Multiracial government. So instead of the racist government, so being a when the South Africa it was unfurled, marking the newly born democracy in the world. Then afterwards, so in this instead of racist government, there we can see the existence of multiracial government. Multiracial government. See how did this come about? So let us hear Nelson Mandela was the first president of this new South Africa and this extraordinary transition. How did this come about? Listen, dear students. If suppose if any others they may we cannot imagine they may going to take a revenge also, but it was not happened in South Africa. The South African national leaders, especially Nelson Mandela, so gives a message to the entire, not only for the South Africa. What a wonderful message to the world. So I would like to read out Nelson Mandela's words, what he was delivered when he was became the first president of this new South Africa. He was the first president of this new South Africa. What he was actually expressed through that I would like to read out. Historical enemies succeeded in negotiating a peaceful transition from apartheid to democracy exactly because we were prepared to accept the inherent capacity for goodness in the other. What a beautiful words, dear students. See, was actually delivered a beautiful, a good message to the whole world, especially for the South Africans. Historical enemies succeeded in negotiating a peaceful transition from apartheid to democracy exactly because we were prepared to accept the inherent capacity for goodness in the other. My wish is that South Africans never give up on the belief in goodness, that they cherish that faith in human beings is the cornerstone of our democracy. So, like that actually, so South Africa, the ಜನತೆಯನ್ನು ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ಅವರು ಮಾಡಿದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರದ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ತಮ್ಮ ಭಾಷಣ ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ದ ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್ ಒನ್. See, dear students, after the emergence of the new democratic South Africa, black leaders appealed to the fellow blacks to forgive the whites atrocities, for the atrocities they had committed while in power. Whatever they did, whatever they were treated the black people during their period. So here, the black leaders of the South Africa appealed to fellow blacks. They were appealed to everyone to forgive the whites ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕ್ಷಮಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಫಾರ್ ದ ವೈಟ್ಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದೇ ವರ್ ಕಮಿಟೆಡ್ the atrocities they practiced and they had committed while in power. They said, let us build a new South Africa based on equality of all races and men and women. They said that the African national leaders, the black leaders especially, so let us build a new South Africa based on equality of all races and men and women also, and democratic values, social justice, and human rights. This is what there. See, the new South Africa, it must be based on equality for all races and men and women, on democratic values, social justice, and human rights, all these things. The party that ruled through oppression and brutal killings, and the party that led the freedom struggle sat together to draw up a common constitution. See, dear students, the party that ruled through oppression and brutal killings. ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ಕಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಆ ದಮನಕಾರಿ ನೀತಿಯನ್ನು ಅನುಸರಣೆ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಆಳ್ವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿತ್ತು, ಆ ಒಂದು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಸಹ ಭಾಗಿಯಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಸೊ ಹೊಸ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ರಚನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. Are you getting, dear students? So which party that led the freedom struggle sat together to draw up a common constitution? ಅದು ಸಹ. So Africa, the role of the ANC or African National Congress also is vital. Then after, dear students, after 2 years of discussion and debate, they came out with one of the finest constitutions in the world. Even the world has ever had. So the South African people, so they were continuously 2 years, so they were conducted so many discussions and debate, and they were came out with one of the finest constitutions of the world that never had. This constitution gave its citizens the most extensive rights available in the country, especially even in any country also, that's much of rights provided by the constitution. Together they decided that in the search for a solution to the problems, whatever, nobody should be excluded, no one should be treated as a demo. They agreed that everybody should become part of the solution instead of problems, and whatever they might have done or represented in the past. The preamble to the South African Constitution sums up this spirit. Are you getting, dear students? The preamble to the South African Constitution sums up this spirit. Completely it sums up. So regarding this, I would like to continue in the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.